pronunciations. Last week we read chapters 10, 11 and 12 of KotiRudrasamhita of the volume 3 of the Shivpuran. In chapter 10 we read about the greatness and glory of Mahabala. In this, virtuous king Mishra was deceived by a demon who became his cook and served human flesh to king's preceptor Vashita. The preceptor then cursed the king to become a demon for 12 years. The king became a demon, Kama Sangri, and roamed the forest eating human flesh. He once called a Brahman and was cursed by his wife that he would die as soon as he would consummate his relationship with any woman. Soon the king regained his original form and returned to the palace, but the wife, who was aware of the curse, avoided his sexual embrace. Issueless and dejected, he was advised by sage Gautam to go to Gokanara temple of Lord Shiva and worship him and take bath in the holy water. He did as advised by the sage Gautam and got rid of the sin. All of the sins were wiped off and he attained the region of Shiva. In chapter 11, Sutta narrated about the glory of the phallic images in the northern quarter. In chapter 12, the sages asked Sutta why Shiva was worshipped in phallic form throughout the world. Sutta told them that once there was great sages who were excellent devotees of Lord Shiva in Dhruvana forest. Shiva wanted to test their devotion, so he appeared in a hideous, stark naked form in front of a leading Brahman. He engaged in perverse activities. All the forest dwellers were frightened and surprised at the sight. When the great sage saw him, they cursed him and told him he acted pervertedly, and so his penis would fall on the ground. Instantly the penis of Avota form of Shiva fell on the ground and it burnt everything. All the worlds and the people became distressed. The penis was not stable. All the gods and sages regretted about what happened and went Brahma's abode to tell him everything. He told them that as long as the penis does not become stable, the world would remain distressed. He asked the sages to appropriate God Parvati to assume the form of a vaginal passage to stabilize the penis. Brahma explained to them the detailed Vedic procedure to appease Lord Shiva. Gods and sages worshipped Lord Shiva with great devotion, and Lord Shiva was delighted. He appeared in front of them and told them that only Parvati's vaginal passage could support his penis and stabilize it. So all the gods then appropriated Goddess Parvati. Goddess then granted them their wish and supported the penis of Lord Shiva. After this, the penis became static, and since then the phallus is worshipped. Today, Shrutiyanti will be reading chapter 13, the original of the Vadakur. There will be no Hindi reading today. Jai Guruji.
Jai Guruji, everyone. We'll be reading chapter 13, the origin of Vatuka. Sutta said, O Brahmin, it has been narrated to you how Shiva came to be worshipped in these three worlds in the form of phallic image. What else do you wish to hear? The sages said, O Holy Lord, please narrate the glory of phallic image known as Andakeshwara. Similarly, it behoves you to mention the glory of other phallic images willingly. Sutta said, formerly the Asura Andaka resorted to the deep ditch of the ocean and kept the three worlds under his control. He harassed the god. He used to come out of the ditch and harass the people. Then he of great exploit re-entered the ditch. O great sages, the god was grief-stricken. Imploring Shiva, again and again they mentioned their miseries to him. Sutta said, on hearing the words of the gods, the delighted Lord Shiva, the slayer of the wicked and the goal of good, replied. Shiva said, I shall slay that Asura Andaka, the murderer of the gods. O gods, proceed with the army. I too shall come along with the Ganas. When that terrible antagonist of the gods and the sages came out of the ditch, the gods went and occupied it. The Asuras and the gods fought a terrible battle. By the blessings of Shiva, the gods became very strong. Attacked and tormented by the gods, the Asura returned to the ditch when he was pierced through the trident of Shiva, the Supreme Soul. Remaining there, he meditated on Shiva and prayed. On seeing you at the hour of death, one becomes identical with you instantaneously. Thus, eulogized, the delighted Shiva spoke to him. Mention the boon you wish to have. I shall grant it to you. On hearing these words, the Asura said again after bowing to and eulogizing Shiva with pious feelings. Andhaka said, O Lords of God, if you are delighted, grant me the auspicious devotion to you. Taking unusual compassion on me, be stationed here. Suta said, requesting thus, Shiva hurled the Asura into that ditch. He himself stood there in the form of a phallic image with the desire to help the world. If a man worships Andhakesha every day, his desires are fulfilled within 6 months. The Brahmin who worships the beneficent phallic image for his livelihood for 6 months become a Devalaka, the worshipper of idol for subsistence. He is not authorized in ordinary rites of Brahmins. The sages said, who is a Devalaka? What is his function? O intelligent one, mention that for a guidance of the people. Suta said, there was a Brahmin, Dadichi, who was well versed in the Vedas and highly virtuous. He was engrossed in his devotion to Shiva and was interested in Shiva's lore. His son was known as Sudarshana, whose wife was Dukula. She was born of a defunct family. The husband was always under her control. He had 4 sons. Of course, he used to worship Shiva every day. Then it happened that Dadichi had to go and live in another village along with his kinsman. The kinsman did not let him go back. While leaving home, Dadichi, the excellent devotee, had already instructed his son, be devoted to Shiva. Sudarshana's son also worshipped Shiva. O great sages, thus a long time elapsed. So once it had happened that on a Shivaratri occasion, when all observed fast, Sudarshana had his sexual intercourse with his wife and then performed the worship. But before he performed the worship, he abstained from taking the bath. For this misdeed, Shiva was infuriated and said, Lord Shiva said, O knave, you had sexual intercourse with your wife on the occasion of Shivaratri. Without taking bath, you performed the worship. You are an indiscreet fellow. Because you have done this consciously, be sluggish and insensible, you are an untouchable person for me. Avoid touching me. Suta said, cursed by thus Lord Shiva, Sudarshana, the son of Dadichi, attained insensibility immediately, deluded by Shiva's Maya. O Brahmins, meanwhile Dadichi, the excellent devotee of Shiva, returned from the other village and heard the details. He too was rebuked by Shiva. Hence, he felt much distressed. He cried, Oh, I am doomed by this fool deed of my son. Dadichi, honored amongst the good, grumbled again and again, my excellent family is damned by the misbehavior of my vicious son. That son too is doomed. He has taken a vicious slut to his wife. Thus the son was rebuked by his father, who repented. The father then worshipped Parvati with excellent rites, sincere devotion, and perseverance for the happiness of his son. Sudarshana himself performed the worship of Parvati with great devotion, adopting the path of Chandi worship with and auspicious hymns. Thus, by various means and with sincere devotion, the father and the son propitiated the goddess Parvati, who is favorably disposed toward her devotees. O sage, by the devotion of their service, Chandika was delighted. She adopted Sudarshana as her son. For the sake of her adopted son, she herself implored Shiva. Shiva, who was angry, had become quite calm. The son was also delighted. Then, realizing that Lord Shiva, the bull banner deity, was delighted, she bowed to him herself and placed the son on his lap. Making the ablution of the son with ghee, Parvati handed over to her son Sudarshana the 3-stringed sacred thread with a single knot and imparted instructions in Shiva Gayatri consisting of 3 syllables. Then the Brahmin boy performed the Sankalpa Puja, worship by mental conception, 16 times within the 5-syllabled mantra with the word Shri prefixed to Shiva. Beginning with ceremonial ablution and ending with the concluding obeisance, he worshipped the bull-bannered deity by means of devotional mantras, musical instruments, and adoration in the presence of the sages. He recited various names of Shiva. Then he delighted Shiva, and Chandika said, "Wealth, food, grain, etc., whatever is offered to me shall be taken by you. There is no sin in this action. In the rites concerning me, you will officiate as the chief, especially so in the rites concerning the goddess. Ghee, oil, etc., everything offered to me shall be taken by you. When the Prajapata rites is performed, only of you shall be there. Then alone is the worship complete, or everything becomes fruitless. The tilaka must be made round, then you shall take bath. Sandhya prayers to Shiva shall be offered and his Gayatri repeated. After rendering service to me at the outset, the other rites shall be performed according to the family tradition. When everything is thus performed, there shall be welfare. Your blemishes have been excused by me." Sutta said, after saying this, the Supreme Soul Shiva consecrated his 4 sons as Vatukas in the 4 quarters. After keeping Sudarshana as her son with herself, she granted boon to his sons and blessed them in several ways. The goddess said, "Between you two, whoever becomes my Vatuka shall be victorious. No doubt need be entertained in this respect. He who worships you has worshipped me too. You shall perform your duties always, O son." Sutta said, thus boons were granted to the noble Sudarshana and his 4 sons by Shiva, and Shiva out of pity for the welfare of the worlds. Because they had been established by Shiva, and Shiva known as Vatukas, those who neglect penance are known as Tapodhamas. Thanks to the mercy of Shiva and Shiva, they expanded in various ways. Their worship at the outset is the great worship of Shiva, the Supreme Soul. No worship shall be performed by any person as long as he has not performed Shiva's worship. If it is performed, it does not turn out to be auspicious. Whether auspicious or inauspicious, the Vatuka is not to be eschewed. In the Prajapata rite and at the feast, a single Vatu is considered excellent. In the rites of Shiva and Shiva, this difference is marked. O intelligent one, hear the same. O faultless one, I shall explain it now. I shall explain in the manner I have heard the event that happened in the city of King Bhadra near the shrine of Andakeshwara during the daily rite of feasting in the Prajapata rite. A certain banner was given to that king by Shiva, who was satisfied with his devotion. The king was addressed to by the Lord Merciful. The banner will be raised and bound in the morning. It will fall down in the night. This will happen when Prajapata rite is full and complete. Otherwise, this banner will remain steady even during the night. After saying this to king, the delighted Shiva, the storehouse of mercy, vanished. O great sage, the king adopted the procedure accordingly. The Prajapata rite was performed every day in accordance with the rules of Shiva worship. If the rites became full and complete, the banner rose up itself in the morning and fell down during the night. On one occasion, the function of Vatu took place in the beginning. The banner then fell even before the feast. On seeing it there, the learned men were asked by the king, "The Brahmins are at their feast. Why is the banner not flying? How did it fall down? O Brahmins, tell me the truth." Thus asked the Brahmin, the excellent scholar said, "O great king, while feasting the Brahmins, Vatuka, the son of Chandi, was fed at the outset. Shiva was satisfied. Hence the banner fell down. On hearing it, the king and the people were surprised. They praised them. Thus the greatness of the Vatukas were enhanced by Shiva. The Vatukas are glorified as excellent ritualists by those who knew things of war. At first, Shiva worship shall be performed by the Batukas alone, not otherwise. None else is entitled to worship as Shiva, he said. They shall conclude the worship with the remarks, "Let the worship be complete. This alone is their work, nothing else." O great sages, thus whatever was asked has been narrated to you, on hearing which a man obtains the fruit of Shiva worship. Jai Guruji, that concludes the chapter reading. We'll take Agya from Guruji. Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji for this seva.